Rick Stivers. I'd like to welcome you to Young Martin's Reels. Today's project is going to be this ABU Garcia C508GLX graphite reel. And this one's in pretty rough shape coming in, but even though it's in rough shape, it is still working. One of the features that I did notice, this is the bail wire on it is supposed to be painted, and a large portion of the paint has come off of it. But another thing that I noticed about this is that it does have a folding bail that you're supposed to be able to push in here, like so, and that's supposed to release the bail and let it lay down so that you can store it easily. However, once I push that in, it don't want to come back up. So that's something we're going to have to get into and try to fix. All right, what else is going on with it? Aside from that, the bail doesn't want to trip. I mean, once it does trip, it goes. But it's going too far because that pin isn't catching it like it's supposed to. The drag wasn't working, and I loosened it up, and now I got it working. So we're going to have to take the drag washers out of there, clean those up. Let's see what we got going on here with the roller. The roller is not spinning, so hopefully we will be able to break that screw loose. Yeah, it's going to come loose, and we'll take that off and clean that roller up. Here, see, it's already moving a little bit, but we'll have to clean that up. I'll run that wire wheel on that and see if I can't get that mess cleaned up. It does work. This bail's trying to go too far now, so it's hitting. Anti-reverse is working. Anti-reverse override works. So overall, the reel seems to be in fairly functional condition. What, let's see, this also, I believe, or is it just a sleeve? Okay, it's just a sleeve. Okay, let's see, this should be a screw through, I believe. And we'll take that off. There we go. Okay, and slide out the handle. And yeah, it's got a folding handle, but we're going to try to clean this up just a little bit here. And put some oil in there. And again, this is not a high-dollar reel, but it is a big reel that can handle big fish. We're going to clean this thing up better than what it is, but just wanted to get some oil on there for now. Let's go ahead and see if we can take this spool off. There's the drag knob. There's the drag portions. Okay, the spring under here for the clicker is working fine. We'll be greasing that or oiling it. That looks good under there. Let's see if these will pull off. I believe they will. Let's try to get underneath the shim washer. See if we can get it up first. These things get really tight sometimes and keep you from being able to remove the cog. Okay, there you go. See, the cog just wants to come right off. But see, I got rust on that cog. This is a mild steel part, and it rusts, unlike stainless wood. Okay, so let's got that off. And I think we're ready to go ahead and see if we can break these free. And because these are graphite, they're going to be hard to unscrew all the way. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to break them each loose, and I'm going to use my power screwdriver because my wrist can't handle all that much screwing anymore. Okay, we're going to remove those 4 screws. All 4 are identical. We're going to remove the side cover, and that looks reasonably clean inside. Okay, we have a bushing on this side. Let's see if the main gear will come out. It will not at this time. Okay, we've got the axle shaft all the way to the bottom, so we'll go ahead and unscrew the locking screw for that. Okay, the axle shaft comes out. Now we should be able to take this main gear out, and it's still hanging because it was hanging on the other bushing. Okay, that bushing is off. All right, this is one of these that has this plastic clip on the main gear. Don't try to remove that, because if you try to take it off, there's a really good chance that it will break. So leave that in place. Okay, we'll set that down. We're going to take out the crosswind block and crosswind gears. Okay, and the anti-reverse portion was working fine. Yeah, that moves freely, so we're not going to mess with taking that off. And now we're going to come over here, and that looks like about a 14 millimeter. And it is, and it was already loose to begin with. Okay, so we'll take that off. Pull the rotor off. And it's got this locking, it's got 2 locking plates in it. Wow. Okay, I'll leave that one in. Okay, see if there's a shim washer here, and there's a big shim washer. Okay, so that will go on to that. All right, and when this comes up, okay, watch how this works. When this comes up, it rotates around, and it moves that lever over, and that lever is going to hit on this ramp right here. When it hits on that ramp, it'll push that back and cause that bail to trip back. Okay. And this is one of these that has these stupid C-clips in it. And I hate when they do that, but I'm not the designer, so I don't get to make the call. Okay, and we're going to slip this one around a little bit. There we go. There's the C-clip. And now this pin should come out. And normally you wouldn't have to take this part out, but this is so caked with sand that I'm having to. Okay, there we go. Take that out. Those two go together. We'll keep this over here, and we're going to take this side apart and unscrew that. According to this, the gear ratio on this reel is a 4.4 to 1. Okay, that's there. All right, does this piece manually, will it come out? No, it stays right where it's at. Okay, so we're going to leave that in there, and we're going to clean it right where it sits, so we don't have to worry about getting the spring put back in. And we could. I mean, that spring just hooks in right there, so it's fairly easy, but all right, let's go ahead and take it apart. There's enough heavy grease on this that needs to come off. That if that screw will come out. And it will not, so we're going to leave it on. Wow, you would think in that plastic that it would come out, but it doesn't. All right, let's go to the other side. This is the side that we broke the screw loose on earlier. Let's go ahead, take this screw out the rest of the way. There usually is a washer underneath this when you take one of these off, and there is not this time. Okay, but we do have this piece here. Okay, so we've got that. We've got the roller, and that's it. Okay, but the roller is going to have to be cleaned, and I'm going to put that on my wire wheel, I think. Okay, we've got this off, but let's keep it together so that the pieces don't get lost. So we'll screw that back on. Like that. Okay. All right, let's go back to this side. And we've got another E-clip over here that we're going to have to take out. And we'll see if we can get it to rotate around. If you try to take it out with the opening facing to the front, they have a tendency to get caught on that back shoulder and not come out. Okay, there we go. There's the second C-clip or E-clip out. Let's push that pin out. And now this one should be spring-loaded, this arm. Okay, there's the pin. And here's the arm. It should go to have a spring attached to it. And it does. And, wow, that spring didn't want to come out of the hole. There we go. Look how rusty that spring is. Hoping I can clean that up to where it's not going to be a problem. Okay. we're going to take there. Okay, that took out that pin. I'll loosen that up, and that pin popped out. See, it's got corrosion on it, and it's got this little spring. Okay, that's got to go back in. So we have to put that in with everything in place. So when we go to put this back, we've got to put that in and hold it in place while we put the rest of that back together. So that'll be entertaining. Okay, let's go ahead and take this screw out. And let's see here. Pop this cover off. And there's our spring. Normally these springs don't have a bend on the end like that. I wonder if that's original or if that's gotten bent. It kind of looks like it's planned that way, so I think we'll leave it alone. But I do need to clean the rust off of it. Okay, and this part here we're going to have to spray down with WD-40 and clean it good, and that'll take care of that. All right, that brings us back over to the bearing. Let's see if we can get these two screws out of the bearing retainer. There's one. That also just released our ramp, and the ramp is going to be on the end that faces towards the foot. And the ramp is used for the trip lever. There goes the bearing retainer, and we should be, yep, there we go. There's our anti-reverse cog. Okay, so here's what we got. We got a bearing. We have a large, thick shim. And then we have the anti-reverse gear, or cog. It doesn't want to come, maybe built into it. I wouldn't have thought so. But it looks like it could be. Okay, we're going to leave that on. And we'll just scrub that up as is. All right. That piece moves freely where it is. So we're going to stop the camera at this time. I'm going to scrub, oh, one more thing I want to take apart. I'm going to go ahead and pull the drag washers out of here and see what our drag stack is. And that's too big. So let's change things up a little bit and use an ice pick to hook in there. There we go, springs out. Sit that down. Let's see what our drag washers look like, because this was stuck. This was stuck bad, and I managed to break it loose. All right. There's the drag washer stack. So what we have is what appears to be some kind of a fabric washer. Let's see if I can split this off, get it separated. There we go. Separate this side. They're not Teflon, but they're not felt either. So I'm thinking we're going to lubricate those when we put them back in. This rust right here is probably what was causing it all to stick. Okay, we'll clean all that off. All right, so the drag stack goes fabric washer, keyed washer, it's got that square key in the middle, fabric washer, eared washer, because it's got the two little ears on it, fabric washer, and keyed washer, and then final, last but not least, would be the locking ring. Okay, so we'll have to see if we can get that cleaned up as well. So we are just about ready to drop everything into my cleaning tank and see if we can't get these parts cleaned up. And let's see, what about our bearing? How's our bearing look? Okay, the bearing's working fine. Okay, but we are going to clean it. But it is working well, no noise. That's good. Okay, I'm going to get these parts cleaned up. When I come back, everything will be ready to start putting back together. I have parts still soaking in the parts cleaner, but I do have all the parts cleaned up for the rotor. So we're going to go ahead and see if we can assemble this guy. See about putting him back together. So we're going to start off with, let's see here. It's going to be this spring. Okay. And one end of the spring is going to go in right here. And the other end goes up there like that. Now, the thing that we have to watch for is, remember that this ball, spring ball here, has to go back into this hole right here. But it has to sit under this piece in that slot. So, this could prove entertaining. All right, we're going to start off by putting this cover back on. And put the screw back in. That in place, we are going to set the detent ball or pin back inside here, and I must not have it quite straight because it doesn't want to go down in there. So let's loosen up the metal piece here and see if we can. There we go. That got it in. Tighten it back down. Yeah, it's still loose. It's still spring-loaded. Okay, here we go. Now we've got to take this piece, get this spring into this hole. See that hole right there? Right there. That spring has to go in to that hole. Like so. Okay. Then we have to try to get this all into position over top of that hole where that pin goes. And I should have had the pin standing by ready to go in like that. There we go. Now there's the pin. That's the detent ball. Okay. Notice that it pops right there. Okay, and that's only going to go down when you manually push it down to rotate that bail down. Other than that, it's going to stay right there. And it's just a stop for this. Okay, we're going to push this pin all the way in so that we have the groove showing over here on the pin. And I just dropped, there it is. Okay, and we're going to set that E-clip into place like that and see if we can't pop it in. There we go. Okay, that's got that piece in. And I don't like how it's turned white coming out of the parts cleaner, so we're going to add just a little WD-40 here and spread it around on that part. None of the other parts came out of the parts cleaner looking white like that. Only this one. So we'll wipe it down, spray it, wipe it off. That looks a lot better. I don't know if it'll stay that way, but it looks better. Okay, and will the detent ball operate? Yes, it does. When you bring it back up, now it's operating. See, remember before it was stuck? Well, now we have it working. Okay, we're going to go to the other side now, this piece here, and we're going to oil it remember we tried to take that screw out to remove this and clean around it, but it would not come out. So we're going to put some oil around it and massage it just a little bit. There we go. Make sure that oil's worked into it good. On this side, we're going to go ahead, put this piece back on, along with the screw. Like that. It's got a little detent notch in there that it fits down into. Okay, hold it in place with a finger so that it can't pop out while you're putting the screw in. Tighten it down, there we go. All right. Now we've got this piece to go in. And it should be going over here on this side, I believe. Yeah, because that's where the handle, yeah. Okay. And this piece then will operate that detent. See that? See how it moves? All right, so let's put the pin back in this side. Let's give that pin a little bit of oil. And slip it in to the hole, like so. Okay, push it into the groove is exposed on the other side, and put that E-clip in and snap it down. There we go. All right. Now we're going to take this apart, and it's gone through the cleaner, and I run the roller on my wire wheel to clean it up. And so now we're going to add a drop of oil, put the roller on, maneuver it around a little bit, put the seat back on it with the cup side towards the roller, and then set this over in place and bring the screw through, and let's get the screw started. Oh, wait a minute, before we do that, can't do that yet. You know, I already started it. Okay, let's take that back off for a second. We have to go over here and get this piece in. It's got those flats. You have to get it lined up, get the flats lined up and slide it in like that. There, now it's locked in place. Okay, now come back, put the roller on. It's already been oiled. Put the seat in, and the screw is already there. Slide it in, and let's put that screw in. And if we've done that correctly, the roller will roll, and it does. Good. Okay. All right, we've got that going good. All right, I'm going to take a break and see about getting these other parts finished off in the parts cleaner. The next part that I've got cleaned and ready to go back together is going to be the spool. And we're going to start off by putting a little bit of grease down inside here. This thing needs to be protected from the elements. These are mild steel, and because the drag washers are mild steel, they get moisture on them and they're going to rust. So we're going to put in the fabric drag washer, and we'll put in a keyed drag washer, and we're just going to keep slapping a little bit of grease on each of these parts as they go in. You only need to grease the one side. There's no point in greasing both sides because they're going to be laying right up against where you just greased the other one. So but next was the eared washer. Then on top of that goes this next fabric washer, followed up by this keyed washer. All right, now someone may ask me, okay, well, why are you doing the spool now? You usually wait till the end. Well, I've just got so many parts laid out here on the bench that it was time to get some parts out of the way. So that's why I went ahead and did that one. Now to find out if we've got this aligned, which I'm sure we probably don't, we'll go ahead and slide. There we go. There's the axle shaft, and that'll be ready. Okay, got that done. Next part we're going to work on is going to be the pinion, and here's the pinion gear. And yes, I was correct. This does not come off. This is all one piece. So we're going to take this guy. It's got two spacers. One of these spacers you didn't see me take off because it was stuck to the bottom of the rotor. Okay, but we've got a shim washer spacer. We've got the bearing, and so that you guys aren't afraid that I didn't oil it, I'm going to go ahead and oil this bearing now. I'm going to spin it up, and then we're going to oil it again. Okay. And then we've got one more shim. This is the one that was sitting on the back of the rotor. Okay. We're going to set this in and lock it down. Now, if you look, there's a whole lot of play right here, right? And that's going to make you think, oh, this thing's all worn out. Well, no, it's not worn out. Here's the way it works. This piece goes in, and then this axle shaft is going to fit through it and fit through the back here. Well, with that in there, now look, there's no wobble and no play. Okay, so don't worry about that if you see a lot of play in there. Okay, we're going to set this bearing spacer in here, and our bearing retainer, and then we're going to set this guy in. This is our ramp that trips the bail, and I'm going to use my electric screwdriver to start these screws, just for the simple fact that it's easier. Now, I'm not going to run them all the way down with it, but I am going to start them with it. Okay, so I'll set it in place. Okay, and we will finish them off with a screwdriver. Not with that screwdriver, I won't. There it is. Pull that ramp in up against the body. There we go. Remember, you got that spacer in there. All right. So far, so good. We're now going to slide the rotor back on, and it's keyed. That shaft is keyed to fit this rotor right there. And we've got these rotor locks that go in. We got two of them. Got both of those in now. And now we're going to tighten down, or put the nut on. And I told you earlier when I took this off that it was a 14 millimeter, and it is not. It is a 9/16. So I went at a 9/16 for tightening this down. And it's really best to probably get a socket, and I've got one if I wasn't too lazy to go get it right now. That's our anti-reverse click in there. Okay, but you won't hear that when the main gear is installed. You won't hear it also when you click this back. All right. Now, it's still got a lot of wobble because we don't have that axle shaft in yet. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to put this bushing in on the far side, down in there. And we're going to take our gear. Let's go ahead and grease the gear all along the teeth. Now, there's some discoloration on this gear along the teeth from where it's been water intruded. It doesn't appear to have any real damage, just some staining. Okay, put that on. Now let's go ahead and put some on the pinion gear. Rotate that around a little bit. You got to rotate the rotor to rotate the pinion, as they're one and the same attached now. Okay, before we put that main gear in, let's go ahead and put our crosswind block in. Let's go ahead and get it greased. Sorry, crosswind gear. We're going to grease up the bottom of it where it slides against the case here. And then we're going to grease the teeth of the crosswind gear. And make sure to inspect them well. Make sure that there's no damaged teeth in there. And there's not. They're discolored a little bit here and there, but they're not damaged. Okay. Put that in. Okay. Alright. Now, we're going to want to set the crosswind block in. And I seem to recall it went this way. Yeah. Okay, we're going to grease the bottom of the crosswind block where it rides on the top of this. And then we're going to sit this in here this way. Okay, with this. There we go. It's got to fit over that post. All right. And now it's time to put this main gear in. Okay, and here's the deal. You see this point right here? Well, that point has to fit in between these two notches in this plastic right here. Well, the only way you can see whether or not that's going to happen is if you rotate it around to where this window is. So that when you put this in, you can look through the window. Let's go ahead and oil the main gear shaft where it's going to fit through that bushing. We're going to slip it down in there. And now we're going to take and look through this window and line that piece up with that tooth sticking out. We're going to slide that down like that. And it should be on each side, and it is. Okay. Now we don't want to rotate any of this because that will then rotate the crosswind block, and we're not ready to do that. We want to go ahead and take our axle shaft. We're going to oil the axle shaft, slide it in through the pinion shaft, through the hole in the middle. We're going to slide that back, and we've got to line this up with the crosswind block, like so. And then line it up to where that hole lines up with that hole. And then we're ready to install the locking screw. It's this little bitty super fine screw that the countersunk hid. Now with that done, we are ready to reinstall the bushing into this side like that. And then we're going to oil the main gear shaft, and then we're going to slide that in like that. And when that locks down, that should position everything good. And we should be ready to put these 4 screws in, but I haven't cleaned the heads of these screws up yet. Let me go do that real quick. And when I come back, we'll put these back in. I'm back. I cleaned up the heads of the screws, got all the dirt, rust out of them, and I'm going to oil them once I get them screwed in. Just to, well, I'm going to put a little oil on the shaft too, but these are black anodized, and in order to get rid of the rust, I had to eliminate the black anodized off of the top of them. I've considered going ahead and heating them up red hot and dipping them in some oil to return that black coating to them, but I decided against it because I was afraid that I would mess up the temper of the steel. So I chose not to. Okay, When you spin it, the axle shaft should go up and down, and it does. Okay, that's good. Let's go ahead, slide on the drag clicker and the spacer, like so. All right, we're going to go ahead and put a little oil on the clicker, like so. Did you see that? Okay. And slide that down on there, and you should be able to hear it. And we can. Let's go ahead at this point and install the drag knob. And now we've got a good drag. Boy, we can really set it tight too. Okay, that's good. All right. And now we've got the handle, which we're going to put some oil here. I thought I already did this once. Maybe it wasn't this reel. I get sidetracked every so often. Hear that buzz? If you spin it and it buzzes like that, it means you don't have enough oil down inside it yet. There we go. All right. I'm going to scrub this with my WD-40 toothbrush. Like so. Wipe it off. Gotta move to the inside of the handle here. Good, and we're going to run cotton swab up inside here just to try to get rid of any sand that might be in there. There we go. All right, let's go ahead, slide the handle in, and tighten down the nut. Or screw. All right, there we have the ABU Garcia C508GLX spinning reel, and it's beast. It's a big one. And let's see. Oh yeah, now the bail trips nicely. And this one, Ken's going to actually fish this one. He's going to put this one on his boat. And he plans to fish with this. It came attached to a rod. And it's a fairly nice 7-foot rod. But it does have one eye off of it. And I told him I would install him a new eye on there. And that should take care of getting this reel back up and running and onto his boat. I hope you liked the video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you didn't, hit the dislike button. Tell me what you didn't like about the video. And for now, that's Rick Stivers with Young Martin's Reels signing out.